west where they had Indians and made movies. But recently we heard about a fellow in my old hometown named Ron Duncan, who uses a bow and arrow in one of the most daring demonstrations of self-defense we've ever seen. So we sent our full-figure camera crew to put it on film for you. Because Ron has two professions, karate instruction and private investigation, he may never find himself in a position to dodge arrows, but he could find a gun in his hand.
Normally in these exercises, I prefer to use live ammunition. Of course, if I do not move quick enough with live ammunition, I will die. There's at least a sustained serious injury. Even with the blank ammunition which we're using, if I do not move quickly enough, blindness and injury and powder burns can occur and possibly death. It's struck in a vital organ.
In a position like this, Ron has to move faster than an attacker could pull the trigger. Ron's movements are so quick, the only way to see what he's doing is with the aid of slow-motion photography.
If an individual intends to shoot, I do not feel that he's going to come within distance where you can reach out and touch him, much less even disarm him. But I do feel strongly that if a man comes close enough with a gun, then he deserves to be disarmed.
Ron can apply the same lightning quickness to resist just about any attack, as long as his opponent is within his reach.
The knife is one of the most dangerous and deadliest of weapons in close combat. The true test of today's modern practitioners be able to at least defend against a knife when situations arise. If one cannot do this, of course one should run. The nunchaku is a weapon which has origins in Okinawa, primarily a farmer's implement for the purpose of pounded rice and other grains. During a certain period of time in history of Japan and Okinawa, the Okinawans were invaded, and according to history, they were disarmed of all instruments of combat. For the means of survival, they developed a form of fighting based on the different farmers' instruments. This particular defense has to do with the figure 8 method, whereas it sets up a screen, a defensive, protective barrier for the individual who is wielding this weapon. So therefore it's difficult to penetrate this barrier. So the principle applied against the figure 8 is timing, using the second side, and at the same time avoiding being struck by penetrating the defensive barrier. In the event that you do not execute this technique properly, you may end up with broken bones or possible death. Cricket movies been with me for approximately 3.5 years. And this movie is the first degree myself. Ed Moroni is my assistant and has been training with me for the past 9 years. Mr. Moroni is a sandan. When we conduct our training sessions, we do not prearrange techniques. We feel that this is the true spirit of what the samurais intended these philosophies to be. So therefore, what we are doing with the slightest miscalculation and cause death. I've been teaching martial arts in the Western area for the past 14 years. I have studied judo, Ninjutsu, kempo, aikido, kung and the use of weapons, Japanese weapons, as well as the art of Koga Ryu. I like to think of myself as a classical practitioner of the Japanese form. I concentrate primarily on the art of the training. 75 pounds. Today, we were working from a distance of approximately 35 to 40 feet. And the type arrows used were of the hunting variety. So therefore, when the scalpel ate, you wind up in pretty bad shape or badly injured. This is a means of developing deep practitioners in depth perception and also vision reflexes. And also is a good measure of courage. Since courage is the essence of the martial arts. Without courage, it doesn't matter how much or often one trains, it wouldn't mean very much.
You've been watching this demonstration in slow motion. Now take a look at it in normal speed from Ron's point of view.
Martial arts leads a way of life that has tremendous values. The values have been beneficial to myself as an individual over the years due to the spiritual aspect and the high level of mental development.
I don't know how fast those arrows were traveling, but they were moving fast enough to elude Ron a couple of times. Ron Duncan, martial artist, thrill seeker.
They do they just tremendously. All these little weapons, as you see. You can pull it off. Don't even see it. Pull it off. That's right. And that dog was gone and pierced somebody, and the poison. You know. Just watch the little different techniques you have. You can see what he has. There they are, the stars. Oh, there you go. He's not trying hard, don't you understand? Because if he doesn't, forget about it. We're sitting ringside here. Just let him know that he's at it. He's not going hard. Pretty good. Watch. This is the real. Look at this. Look how he's throwing those things. Yeah. All over. Don't forget, the ninja was the art of assassination. Don't forget that. This is the real trouble. That's if you're fishing someplace, you know, fishing, attacks you with a sword. Just keep your net around. Just fishing. Since it doesn't use anything at the bell, you will use anything at the bell. It's got a little rope now. All his gadgets, he has so many gadgets. So,
What? What, Thomas?
Ring. Got a ring at the end. Again, the sword. Careful with a student. He has to. It's very dangerous what he does, you know. You can see what they were talking about. Now he finds without the weapon. Thank you very much. I want now my big
Master Ronald Duncan gives a demonstration of the skills that made him such an influential personality in the New York martial arts community. Born in Panama, he began training in boxing at the age of 7. Duncan went on to earn many black belts in systems such as Koga Ryu Jiu-Jitsu, Aikido, Kempo, and Ninjutsu. Here he shows the speed and polish of an expert in both weapons and empty hand fighting. Duncan was able to catch live arrows set aflame, something you certainly don't see every day. Here it is again in slow motion. Notice the archer taking aim at the left hand of the screen.
George Strickland for the Martial Art World, and we're here at Ron Duncan's Martial Arts Academy. And standing next to me now, it's a pleasure to be talking to this gentleman, is Professor Ronald Duncan. Professor Duncan, what is ninjutsu?
Well, that's a question that everybody has been asking for the last 10 to 15 years, and without sounding too redundant, ninjutsu really is, to make a long story short, we can call it the art of endurance. The art of endurance, the art of totality, the art of courage, the art of everything. There's so many different interpretations for it. But the more commonly known interpretation of ninjutsu, that is the art of espionage and art of invisibility, assassination, and so forth. But to sort of cap it off, let's call it the art of endurance, to endure, because those people who evolved as ninjas in ancient time, during the feudal Japan, were people who were forced out of political necessity to endure. And by learning how to endure, utilizing various aspects of philosophies and combat, they were able to endure and to be victorious and to survive.
What style do you teach?
Oh, the style that I teach is a style which originated from the many styles of combat of the Koga provinces of Japan. It's a collection of different systems and approaches of combat. Koga Ryu, you got to realize that we have what's known as the IGA system, which has become very popular, and the IGA system is broken down into various different trends of thoughts from various styles of ancient Japan. The Koga Ryu system will involve techniques as the Masaki Ryu, the Ginda Ryu, Nippon's the Sushi Ryu, the Naha Ryu, the Fuhi Ryu, to name a few. These are different art forms which one has to master and study to take up that slack to make up the totality which is called ninjutsu. It's broken down into philosophy, as spiritual training, psychological training, physical combat, stealthy maneuvering, intelligence gathering, a whole number of things.
It becomes apparent watching your class and your students work out that they have to be agile and able to move and fight from any position.
That is true. The training is very varied here, not only at my academy, but people I've been associated with over the last 30 years who have studied and trained similarly to the way that I do, that we do here. Yeah, because one of the philosophical beliefs that we practice here is that a ninja has to be able to attack and defend from any position, to hear any sound, to sense danger, a number of things. So we go just beyond the ordinary. We will try to seek out those areas which we do not ordinarily deal with, and to develop those areas to strong point and to use them whenever we have to.
I noticed you were talking about the 9 lives of the warrior. Could you tell us about that?
The 9 lives of the warrior are philosophical, not only philosophical science, but these are concepts and philosophies which will affect modern day man, will affect man for all years to come into the future. It simply means that as not only the warrior, but a man is forced, whether he knows it or not, to live 9 different existences. Because in our day-to-day living, we come in contact with our loved ones, we come in contact with people who pay us wages, we come in contact with the elders, we come in contact with ourselves. One of the most important aspects of these philosophical 9 lives is that we come into touch with our true selves. You see, that part of us that nobody sees or understands will ever see. And we learn to deal with ourselves from within and to develop from there. So it's broken down into 9 levels. For the purposes of giving support to someone that was wounded or given the appearance of being wounded for disguised purposes, for off-balancing and deceiving the opponent, or a technique of defensive combat. Okay, guy. Read.
Good.
The opponent could be armed with a knife, for instance, or a sword, whatever the case might be. And this, and all of its innocuous looking appearances, could be used effectively. Come, here. It can be used here for blocking, striking, and taking down the opponent. For instance. And then it could be used in this manner. As he fell, here, it became a flailing device to strike. Now this same technique, will I turn around please? Utilized from the rear, became a strangling device. Here, a dual strangling device, or merely a device, watch it, I put the knife down. For striking and wrapping around the man's face, or to wrap it around his legs to trip him. Used for the purpose of tying your opponent securely. In this position, tie him. To pin his arms, to tie him. Try to pull away. Securely in place, okay? Yes.
The Way of the Wind. Tell me, describe a little bit of that.
The Way of the Wind was a concept that was introduced to me years ago. In Japanese philosophy, especially where the Japanese are concerned, they feel that the wind is the strongest element. And most of the Japanese combative elements is based upon the wind being the strongest factor in transmitting energy and transmitting, destruction and transmitting, healing processes and all those things that has to be projected and transformed and handed down from generation to generations and so forth. The way of the wind, the wind has no definition. Nobody can define the wind. Nobody can actually see the wind. We can only, it is so scientifically complex, at the same time so simple. So the wind has deep significances and connotations where Japanese combative warrior art forms are concerned. A lot of people don't say it, but that's one of the basic concepts. The wind is the strongest element. And the Japanese, during the feudal times, and when speaking in terms of their combat and warlike activities, this is their element. It's not only Japanese, every culture has known this.
Thank you very much, Master Duncan, for having us here today.
We're still teaching traditional martial arts, which consists of ninjutsu and the combat aiki jiu-jitsu systems. In addition to that, we still are teaching the philosophy, and we're trying to work on the never-ending aspect of character building with the practitioners to instill all of those good values that young people need today to cope with the changing times. I don't teach as much as I used to. I don't get a chance to teach anymore. I have, my son Greg is my chief assistant instructor. I have other individuals in the dojo, Mr. Mel Oliver, Orpheus Haywood, and all of the black belts, Livingston Kelly, Carl Hopkins. These are young men who are given much of their lives to the dojo, and they've been very helpful to me. I tell you, to be honest with you, sometimes I want to teach, they won't even let me because they're so devoted, and in addition to being devoted, they're very skilled practitioners. We're doing very well here, and we see our growth, hopefully into the 21st century and beyond that, and I think other concepts that we follow are valid concepts, which I feel have withstood the test of times, going into 5 decades, and I think we will be around to share our knowledge and our skills and ourselves with future generations to come. And I am sure that this tradition will continue because of the caliber of students that I've been very fortunate to have in my corner and to give me the type of support that I'm getting. In addition to training realistically in the empty-handed methods of combat and also the weapon form of combat, we also deal in the training ourselves and the students how to think and how to react, how to use the mind as the primary weapon. That's a high order of training, so we stress that. Stress a lot of that, a lot of morality and general sense of awareness, so that the practitioner here, the student, not only goes on to be a great fighter on the street, but also to succeed, in life, in the professions and the occupations and so forth.
First of all, combatively, I like to instill the fact that everything has to be realistic. The training is always based upon realism and accuracy. That's the primary factor of our training. But from the younger people coming up, it's also based upon respect. Respecting each other when they work together, respecting the dojo, respecting the instructors, respecting themselves. But the training in itself has to be very well-rounded in the sense, whereas they always utilize their creativity and their natural abilities, which stays in the realm of the martial way, the combative way. But basically, it has to be very effective and consistent as to what we always try to do. The relationship between the students and the instructors seems to be a family-like type of setting. Everybody works together very closely, and we all try to get to know each other on a personal basis, whereas it continues to help us grow as a whole unit, whereas nobody works as an individual per se, which is also within the tradition of our system. I mean, I'm very fortunate, very grateful that I had the exposure and the quality training from my dad. You know, I'm very proud of him. And all I try to do is just instill the same type of training and the quality of training in the students that's been instilled into me.
Yes, I'm looking forward to doing more seminars with subjects which are relative to the art forms. We'll try to take it a little bit higher so it can benefit individuals from all walks of life. I've got another seminar coming up very soon which has to do with intelligence gathering. We have done seminars which have to do with mind control and so forth, and how to control ourselves, and a number of wonderful seminars. So I find that more and more professionals are beginning now to make inquiries as to how these seminars that I'm given can assist them in their professions, whether they be lawyers or doctors or people of the cloth, clergy men. So I think that the martial arts, as I see it, and as I've been privileged and very honored and fortunate to practice, is reaching a wide segment of society, and a lot of people are benefited in ways that I never dreamt.
Some of the training techniques with weapons, what are some of the basic weapons that you start people off with?
Well, what I try to do is, and not try to sound too philosophical or too exotic, whatever. You know, we don't want to get away from that. The basic weapons that I teach, you know, any student is the use of his body and his empty hands first. But going beyond that, you know, you teach God to use his mind, because use his mind properly and if it's coordinated, and the body follows suit. The body follows suit, and the hands work in a coordinated fashion, and the weapons become an extension of what you can do with your hands. So the hands is basically that physical thing that I teach, you know, the physical weapon, the basic physical weapon that I teach. And then from there we go into stick weapons, various lengths and categories of stick weapons. They're called stick weapons because they're made out of wood. Then we go into non-bladed knives or swords. Non-bladed knives or swords are those weapons that are made out of metal or steel that you strike with and can actually cut or fracture, but they don't slice into the body. Then we go into the bladed weapons like the knives and the swords, and then we go into the missile type weapons, which are throwing the stars and the knives and like, you know, like some of what I did today, the blowguns and all of that. And from there we go on to, and all of these weapons then are broken down into subdivisions. Then you branch out. From a long sword you use a dagger, you know, from a long stick you use a short stick, and you go on and on and on. And as the student progresses, it becomes a natural part of everybody here. Then they can pick up any particular weapon that I put in their hands, you know, within reason, and they can use it effectively. So all I do is, you know, using this.
Has ninjutsu evolved through the years?
Definitely, ninjutsu evolved. Actually, you know, there was a time when the art form that we call ninjutsu, because you got to bear in mind that ninjutsu is a Japanese term. I don't know exactly what these principles were called, say in Egypt or in Africa or in Greece or in Germany or in Spain or during the time of the Moors or in China or in India. But I know it evolved. Oh, we can trace it. In fact, it has been traced. As I said before, you know, what exists today is largely dependent on the interchange of cultures, what cultures and what culture borrows from another culture. As no culture or people on this planet are totally independent from external influences from somebody else. Okay? And ninjutsu has been traced thousands of years before Japan became a culture within itself. And it goes beyond the earliest dynasties of China. Okay, it has been traced as far back as a village in India called Kerala, K-E-R-A-L-A, because in Kerala, I forgot what part of the coast of India it's on. Kerala is a village where many of the warlike people of that society emerged, and ironically, these forms are practiced very much in India. and then before before Kerala we go to find the Dravidians going to Dravidia, and those people were Dravidians and practiced warlike techniques, and then we go beyond that. I once did an article, I said if we go back to the bones of civilization, we'll find those elements that actually built what is today's society. And we have to go as far back as we can, to recognize and understand what peoples studied astrology and studied the natural herbs around them and studied deception. If we read the Bible, there are two professions which are considered the longest known to man. That's prostitution and espionage. So since ninjutsu is so strongly connected with espionage, we have to, we can't really see how it evolved, but I know how it developed into a very vital force in changing the history of countries, especially Japan, over an 800-year period when Japan was in turmoil, when political turmoil existed, and people that were itinerant, nobodies, just everyday, I don't want to say nobodies, I want to apologize for that, people that were not even warlike, but people who did not necessarily adhere to the norms of the time or the oppressiveness of the regimented type of society of Japan. These were people that will say, well, we will do our own type of free thinking and explore those areas where others will not dare to explore because of their rigid mentality. And gaining these vantage points, these advantages, these people, when the moment, it is said that heroes and great people rise at certain time in history. Nobody has to tell them when. They utilize all the resources that they had put together over the years, and from those particular families of people, very insignificant farmers and priests and people of the theater, very, very, very peace-loving people, emerged what we know today as a ninja. So they became that out of necessity to survive. So of course, ninjutsu at its best is very curative. It's a marvelous thing at its worst. It's
This is a replica, semi-automatic weapon. Pretty safe. I've always maintained that somebody gets close enough to touch you with a gun. It's close enough to be taken and deserves to be taken. As you all know, a handgun is meant to be used from a distance. Not like this. Not this. This. What it happens, no one wants to execute you, or to humiliate you, intimidate you, dehumanize you. That's not. Period. To ultimately blow your brains out. But more than likely, it's not the case. I'll do some techniques under the assumption that he comes close enough from different angles. Side step, really right back to your palm. Side step, redirect. Move your body like a arm circle. Hey, control the weapon. Control it. Turn it back on the side. Speed, effectiveness, moving out of harm's way. No jerky movements. Very smooth. Understanding the anatomy and makeup of the arms. It's too close. Move your head out of harm's way. Control the weapon. Take it away. The round goes off, it goes off someplace else. There's no effective defense against the element of speed. There's no effective defense against the element of surprise. So we try to be as aware as we can of that. Right. Basically, here so you can see the same thing. Face me. You come off so quick, you can be cut. You'll get a chance to block. Well, there are some techniques that you can block, some you can't. This is and comparatively, this is combat, okay? This is really combat distance. Not going on. This is combat distance. Random distance. You're trying to get. It's difficult. I'm standing directly in front of my opponent. And you never see a knife that's lift. That's heavy. If your opponent happens to be a combatant, fight, he picks up his hand, just cut his arm, take everything that's it. Awareness, gotta be aware. It can happen so quickly you're walking down the street. The knife comes out fast. Jordan. Step around this way. It's kind of difficult to defend against that. Turn around. If you love somebody this way, that way, they can defend against that. The guy who comes up behind you and punches you in the side of the neck, you can't defend against that. What's that? Not that. Like that. There's absolutely nothing to save from that. So the thing is to know when to run, when not to be there, avoid situation. Because look, it's a tough golden knife. This golden knife can tear down century-old traditions of combatants. No matter what system, what style, it doesn't really matter. A golden knife is rip it all apart. Whether it's judo, jitsu, karate, kung fu, bagua, anything. Golden knife can hand you over and rip down 500 years of tradition. So open your thing and turn it up. The speed, you practice it. You do this, you make this, you do that, you just get hot. So you do that, you can't see that. So now we start thinking in terms of how the bad guy really is learning how to defeat you. Right before learning how to defeat the bad guy. So what I'm going to do now is utilize some theatrics. Use some knives and horns. We wear the white t-shirt so we can see. And also brought, I love to bring this chart around with me. And I like to recommend my students to learn the body kinetics as to what happens to you if you get cut or you get struck the wrong way combatively. About quickly you can pass out. Or how quickly you can panic and turn and try to run away. After you realize our techniques didn't work and you're cut, you see the person's eyes where they don't care who you are. They don't care. Or you're more sharp, some care. And they'll rip you to pieces. There's certainly some techniques that definitely you can't defend against. So we try to shorten that gap until it gets to the point where we can at least 90-95% defend against it by evading or running or intercept something you can go. The problem getting this is tough to combat it because there are good moments. With no effective defense against the long term. Sometimes the best defense is not to be involved in the first place. The best defense is to say, look, I'm sorry, and get the hell out of it. self-defense is not a key getting involved in fighting. The reason for that is that I've witnessed over the years people that were highly skilled, technically or theoretically, or allegedly, supposedly, encounters and grew away. So we want to deal a little bit with that reality. It is a reality. And hopefully you can see and appreciate what I'm trying to do. Not in a negative way, in a way to enhance what you're trying to do. Okay. Chief. More here, please. I have nothing to feel my students. We're the same. A lot of techniques will be so close to reality, we'll see it. Where's Fred? Fred! Sir. It's a magic marker, known as lipstick. And it's red, can be green, can be brown, blue, can be black. White, sir. Everybody see? Hey. Cut. Difficult to block. Moving around. Cut the around. Where you see it turns back, next, right? If you drop the knife deliberately, and you go for it, then you use your bare hand. He turns back. There's no defense against surprise. Here. Okay, face me. And move around. What you can't see, you can't fight. What you can't hear, you try to sense. Can't see it. Because we're attacked on the rear. So what do we do? Try to make the way that we practice the way we plan. Okay? Now we move up a little bit more. And you're not over. close enough to be taken. And should be taken. Note how to redirect the weapon, keeping the ball away from you, and taking the weapon away from your opponent. Again, understand whether it's a revolver, semi-automatic, with a safety device, a wide round in the chamber, a round goes off on the loud report, a flash, wide inside, you can defeat you. You pull the weapon, and now you can shoot your close. I just stop. Actually, there is a method. It's called a civilian method. The civilian method of defense is that actually your opponent points a weapon at you. There is a time in between when you thinks great things, orders, trigger squeeze, you walk right past it. For a realize this thing is squeeze the trigger. You're not going to go over there. Maybe I'll do it for a long time. You'll practice some techniques. Your opponent gets close enough to you. Right here, you shoot you in the head. Move your body. You don't want to play. Yes, sir. Nothing fancy, just redirect. Turn it right back to him. Right back. Keep on down the way. You can throw it along with the weapon. We do want to give it out. Hold on with 2 hands. Hold on to your gun with 2 hands. Take it back. Right? Anyhow, you want. Too close. You blow up your head. Turn. First step, you redirect. Move your body. No flying kicks. No screaming. No all. Just see where the weapon is and use simplicity common sense. Right to shot. Start breath. This means there. Stop. You blow the fire. But you knock it out. Go right here. Don't tolerate. Very good. See that? Yes, sir. No one work against the replica of the Tech 9. Yeah, and back. Redirect. It's a long barrel. You can't hesitate. Doesn't leave you solid for one mistake. And it's sharp. What you can't see, verbally you can look at it. In sentence. What you have to respect. What's that here? The punch line. Learn how to use your hands. Understand? Very, very, very. blind side. The weapon is here. You can actually turn. Okay. First, we can use the arc. You know, but it's a real gun of live ammunition. It's a different story. It's a quote that we encounter in real life. You still have to squeeze the trigger the same way. Make sure that when the trigger is squeezed, that you know that. But the round is just hit the intended target. Hand-eye coordination. See that? Move ahead, push aside. No big trouble. Take it back. Stop your moving the magazine. Use the Anybody who wants to try, and this is not real, by the way, is a record. The beating line. If the weight adds to the reality of the training. The fireworks have a weapon like this. You say 25, 30 rounds in a magazine. It will be difficult. Unarmed people armed with a knife, to take away what I can hurt. So let's go back. It's one against one. All right, so. It's a heavy weapon. Use the weight against your opponent. See that? Right here. You're no longer there. See? It's one. Take it. See that? Right. It's hard to say. Your first concern is when you realize that the bullet will hit you. You can't control the weapon. I'd prefer to suffer power and temporary blindness than to get shot. Because rounds are going to go off. Semi-automatic going to go off. Revolver maybe once or twice because of the pressure on the trigger. But the idea is to remove yourself out of the line. This is all. This way you got it right there. This, see that? Now that's dangerous. Every time you move, you can get hit. If you move here, you can throw it. Do that. Forget about kicking. Don't do that. Look right in the face. Here. Move it out. Move back towards that. Here. Look. Like that. You may well go on. Make sure your hand doesn't go over the muscle. Move the hand up. If you push up the bike too much, you have the five areas to strike. So the grip in the nose, neck, and the throat. You always keep the weapon away from you. Knee in the back and the back. Here. Right back to me. Stop it. Right, go back. Here. Right back to one. Take that. Thank you. Thank you.
As a newspaper, of course, we all read the news. However, newspaper has various uses once we have discarded them after reading them. But one of the deadliest forms of self-defense consists of working with just a sheet of paper, a roll of newspaper, books, magazines, to deflect attacks, be they arm in arm with single or multiple attackers. As I've indicated before, knowledge of human anatomy is very important. We'll illustrate some techniques for you.
Hey, give me a quarter.
Excuse me?
Give me a quarter.
I'll see if I have a quarter.
Hurry up, don't. Look,
I'm trying to give you a
look,
quarter.
I said hurry up.
Don't you want a quarter?
Yeah, I want a quarter, and I said now give it up, okay? Now, you know that was a big mistake, old man. Get away from me. Take the quarter and go. Take the quarter and go. Don't you want your quarter? You still want your quarter? Then get away from me.
I need some money right now, man. I gotta get out of here. Come on, man. Give me some money.
Hey!
Time, man?
Yeah. It's,
I need a watch too, man.
Back off. Back off.
I'm tired of you, man.
Back off. Back off. Back off. You had enough?
I want that watch, man.
You had enough? Come on. Come on. Come on. Come and take the watch. Come on. Come take it. You mean you haven't learned? I don't want to hurt you. I don't want to hurt you. I don't want to hurt you. Get away from me. I don't want to hurt you. I said get away from here. Get out of here. Get out of here. You had enough? Get out of here. In utilizing a set of keys, remember they're all made out of metal. And each individual key can be the substitution or the equivalent of a knife, a screwdriver, or an ice pick. This is a single key clenched between the first two fingers. No out protrudes. In striking the vital areas at soft tissue, nerve centers, it does a lot of damage. Applying pressure brings about excruciating pain, paralysis, control. When utilized this manner, it's used for flailing, striking. You can rake it across your opponent's face, across the eyes. Bring the opponent down and control the pressure at all the nerve centers. The back of the hand, under the neck, solar plexus, sternum, inner thigh. This all can be thrown to distract the opponent. Remember, you can utilize a multiple of keys between each finger in this manner, the remainder protruding. From here you can strike, okay? You can gouge, you can stab, you can cut, you can suffocate with a key. You can induce pain. Nerve centers. Inner arm.
under the arm, rib cage, back of the head. Strike, slash. Very effective weapons. This is a plain plastic bracelet for ladies out there in the audience. Despite its simplistic appearance, it's also a very effective defensive tool. This can be utilized in a manner as a brass knuckle. Anything that's solid, that can make a solid impact against given parts of the human body, preferably around the facial areas. Primarily the face, because it's a very sensitive area and most individuals will seek to protect the face from any type of injuries or disfigurement. For instance, if this particular bracelet was encrusted with precious stones, diamonds, rubies, it then becomes a very effective multiple bladed slashing device that can be a very lethal weapon indeed if utilized in this manner.
Oh, that's a nice little bracelet there. My girlfriend liked that. Can I have that?
Oh, she does?
Yeah. Give me that bracelet. Let me see that.
What do you want this bracelet for?
For my girlfriend. That's what I said.
Get away, get away, get away, get away. You want the bracelet? Get off me. This is a rolled up magazine. The rolled up magazine is utilized as what we term the blunt edge. It can be used for striking, thrusting. Very effective against an attacker in close quarters. And bear in mind that the bone structure can be damaged and death can result from a lethal blow with the blunt ends of a rolled-up magazine in this manner.
What time is it?
Time, it's I think it's almost 1:30.
Get up. I want my chair.
You want this chair?
Yeah, I want the chair.
Well, I didn't see you here before. I'm not going to get up. I'm tired. No, get away from me. Stop it! Take your chair. Have your chair. No, never do that again. You must realize that we have various different type of items that can be utilized for combative purposes, defend oneself. You have here a folder, which allows a lot of weight to stun the attacker. We even have larger items or smaller items. Among the largest items we can find is a briefcase, which can be utilized in this manner. This is a briefcase, which is a very commonplace sight on our city streets, by individuals going back and forth to their offices, to their jobs. Can be utilized effectively to allow us enough time to escape and to leave the danger zone.
Excuse me.
Yes, sir.
You have time?
Yes, I do.
You do?
Yes.
So I gotta watch you that long.
Oh, you like it? What? Why do you like my watch? I thought you wanted the time. I don't want to fight you. No, 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 no. Drop the knife. Drop it. Had enough? Now get out of here. Techniques developed over years and years of training, of hard training. Also realize that you may not look as polished or smooth as you have noted in the tape. But however, some of these techniques will allow you enough time to block the attack, get off a couple of good strikes, to disable, incapacitate your opponent, to remove you from harm's way.
I find that more people are now beginning to pay attention to the ninjutsu, especially the Koga Ryu ninjutsu systems, and there's also a great number of people asking questions about Aiki Jiu-Jitsu for self-defense purposes, which is amazing because a few years back, I'll say 30 years ago, no one wanted any parts of Aiki Jiu-Jitsu or Jiu-Jitsu forms. Everybody wanted to study either Judo or Karate because it was mainstream. But we seem to have come full cycles, and even very skilled and experienced practitioners of different systems are now beginning to embrace the ninja systems and the Aiki Jiu-Jitsu system, and that makes me very happy. Part of ninjutsu is the ability to deal with difficult times, like the times we're experiencing lately. You know, we find that a lot of people are under psychological stress, and they're pretty much stressed out and all of that. And there's a lot of problems where people are attacked economically and are afraid of losing jobs and losing their livelihoods and their belongings because of jobs uncertainty. And that may not be the case with most people, but it's used by those in power to squeeze and pressure these people, to keep them off balance. But by practicing these ninja art forms, we learn that combat also originates from the mind, and the most common form of combat today in today's society is psychological combat. So therefore, ninjutsu at its core is a psychological set of attacks and defenses.
Master Duncan, a father, a leader, one of the most important men in my life beside my father. He is my instructor since I was a little child. He trusted me. He taught me. He put me through life. I learned many things. No longer I'm young. Master Duncan, I'm not going to talk about who is first and who does the most. We all know that Master Duncan was doing the other ninjutsu way back in those years, back in the 60s.
I've known Professor Duncan for almost 20 years now. We're from Panama. Both of us are from Panama, you know, and both of our path in the martial art is kind of parallel. So, you know, it looks like if you write his resume and you look at mine, look like someone of us is, you know, is taking off of the other one. But we were raised during the World War II era, you know, and he was a boxer just like I was, you know, and there were a lot of Japanese and Chinese in our area. He was on the Pacific side, I was on the Atlantic side, and he learned a lot of the art in this area, so, you know, so did I. As for the ninja part of it, back in 1964, I think was the first time a non-Oriental performed a ninja demo. I think that was in the World's Fair, the last World's Fair we had here in New York. I think it was like 1964 if I'm not mistaken. As far as I know, he was invited by the Japanese council to perform because they knew his background in ninjutsu.
I met Sensei Duncan at a time that was very fortuitous for me, because wherever I turned, I would find the image of ninjutsu. Ninjutsu had not yet been popularized. The year was 1967, and I was at a dentist's office reading Esquire, and they previewed You Only Live Twice. I looked at another magazine, Time magazine, they're previewing You Only Live Twice. Black Belt magazine, December, January, February, 67, 68, ninjutsu. So I began looking, and I found Sensei Duncan. And he gave me a demonstration the very first night that I met him, that with all my research, I had no doubt that he was a true ninja. Notwithstanding, he was the only ninja available, not in New York, but in the United States in 1967.
The martial arts is here to stay, definitely. We're going to find that as the centuries progress, martial arts is going to be utilized in very important ways within the fiber of society across this globe. As a matter of fact, it's being used that way now, as a springboard and as a basis for other things.